What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Frankie Fihn's back here, by the way. My woman is taking pictures of furniture because we are moving around the world. Quick offer I wanted to throw your guys' way. If you're in the group where you're charging 500-ish a month or 300, 400, 600, 700, that kind of price range, and you're finding that you just get really, really busy when you get a lot of clients, and they're often like really demanding at that price, and it's never fast enough. It's never good enough. One of our specialties is helping you turn that into a $2,500 to even up to a $10,000 offer, and actually getting people to take it. And one of the beautiful things is at that room, you can actually, at those prices, you can bring in staff to help you. And so it actually makes the whole scaling process a lot easier. I've never found anybody who can do the 500 a month custom work and really consistently get past like 20 grand a month, or 10 grand a month rather, because it plateaus. There's like a glass ceiling on that. So anyway, let's get into the questions here. I'm going to start reading. This is from Carlos. Good morning. Here's something I'm experiencing, and I thought I'd share it in case anyone can comment, which I'd be grateful for. The idea of a lifestyle agency has been slowly but steadily swimming inside my head, even more so after having bought and read Frankie Fihn's book. Thank you for that, by the way. There's a couple up on the shelf up there. But I wonder, has anyone experienced fear? Fear as in stepping into the unknown, fearing having to deal with one's own self-imposed limitations and perceived shortcomings, our own little comfort zone. Here's the situation. I currently have a formal job under a payroll with benefits, but with tons of freedom, and I use my time as I see fit. This is a flat type, no hierarchy, freedom-based organization, and this does not get in the way. As a matter of fact, I enjoy it, and it's a fun endeavor. But I have two side clients for which I do sales development work. This feels, as Frankie well puts it, as a self-imposed cage with meetings, etc. I'm not sure I even like what I do. It means spending hours and hours in front of a screen, meetings, etc. So the fear I'm talking about is that of taking the leap, getting used to the idea of delegating, assembling a team, trusting others, particularly to make peace with the idea that I don't actually have to spend 8 to 10 hours glued to a computer screen. I feel guilty as if this thought alone makes me lazy or irresponsible, even not worthy of a nice income, much less significance, quality time, and freedom creating wealth. How do we deal with such useless, destructive thought patterns? Okay, that was a doozy, Carlos, and I feel you loud and clear on that one. Let's take these a couple at a time. Firstly, has anyone experienced fear of the unknown? I'll tell you what scares people more than anything is not what can go wrong, but actually is fear of success. For like many, many years, I experienced this as well, and it's an interesting thing because you hit on something else there. Is like a lot of this comes from the fact that almost everybody who I know at least runs an agency either grew up poor or middle class. Like I have yet to meet a trust fund baby who says, I want to make websites and do SEO. And so what ends up happening is we just have those middle class values beaten to us. Work hard, get a good job, get ahead. And you've seen that, like that's not really true. Like what a lot of people don't realize that you can fail at your plan B. And we've seen this. So I saw this in 2008 when I was working for the Ford Motor Company and they laid off people of 21 years and less. And we've seen this in last March where all these people took the safe, secure, and then they got hit with tons of them got laid off all at the same time. So it's important to understand that like uncertainty is just a part of life and you can't like job that away. And so, yes, when you become like a full-time entrepreneur, you will deal with more of that feeling. But understand that like that's just a feeling inside of you. And it's funny because what most people consider a good thing is, like you said, the comfort zone. I actually remember the happiest my mom has ever been for me career-wise. I've spoken on stages across the world. I've like literally traveled the globe. I've had some like months where I make more in a month than most people do in a year, and had a whole lot of fun along the way. I mean, I've also had challenges. I'm not like presenting it as all rainbows and butterflies, but the happiest my mom has ever been for me is when I got health benefits from the Ford Motor Company. Like, you got it made. You got the health benefits. So I feel you on that as well. And those kind of like middle class mentalities tell you, work 8 to 10 hours a day, get ahead, work for a good company. But you've seen that like maybe 100 years ago that might have been true, but in this day and age, in the age of technology, there just aren't companies that are going to even be around in 35 years in the same way. Like a good example of that is think about all the people who like were working their way up the corporate ladder at Blockbuster And then Netflix came along and said, hey, you don't even have to deal with late fees. You don't even have to go to the store to pick up the movie. You can just watch the movies on your computer, stream it at home, and run it right on your TV. And in a matter of a couple of years, every Blockbuster worldwide is basically closed, right? And imagine all those people who are working their way up the corporate ladder. So it's important to understand that, like, how we're paid is based on like value we're bringing to the marketplace, not in like slaving away at a computer. Now, you mentioned something there where it sounds like the clients that you actually have on the side are not your ideal clients because they're like a lot of meetings and justifying and explaining yourself, which I personally hate as well. But the people you're working for as a job sound like really cool. They actually sound really close to your ideal clients. So my question is like, how can you de-link it so that you're not paid for your like time structure, and how can you get more of those kind of people where you can get paid for your contribution? Because you absolutely can have that and do deserve that. But I'm going to tell you, those thoughts don't go away. I deal with them like literally every single day of my life, and I've been doing this for 13 years. And in some ways they get bigger as the challenges get bigger. So they're not going to go away. You just learn to deal with them. And part of that is just accepting them and making them okay. So I got a two-parter from our man, Oral. Another one, interested in your feedback opinions. I asked myself, would it be better to focus on Switzerland first with Dentop? Dentop is dental marketing agency, my dental marketing boutique, as Switzerland is my home country. So to focus on dental practice owners from here first, as I know Switzerland inside and out and speak the local dialect. Then later on, broaden the reach to Germany and Austria, the other German-speaking countries, and from here on, maybe to other languages in other countries. ABBA came to mind. They got famous first in Sweden before they rolled out internationally. Or would you go international from the first moment on, as the geography doesn't matter, as long as I have ideal clients in front of me? So I'm going to kind of pitch it back to you. It really depends on what you want, right? Like I always say, and you'll hear me say this as a broken record, but the first person your agency has to work for is you. So if for you, going after 3 countries is no big deal, which I don't really think it is, then I would just go after all 3 of them at once. But if you want to start off as the Switzerland specialist, there's certainly merits to doing both. I honestly think wholeheartedly you can easily be successful with both paths. So it's really just a question of like which one of those works better for you right now today. Because especially like, knowing you now a little better, I know you're capable of doing both. So I know that's not an answer, but I'm kicking it back to you. But you can easily do both, so it's really up to you. Especially, I think the German-speaking market, even with the local dialect, is relatively small compared to the whole market. But yeah, I mean, I'm just telling you, if I were in your shoes, and I'm not telling you what to do, I would go after all 3 countries because I'm kind of crazy and balls to the wall. But depends on how fast you want to grow it and scale it, and how much you want to just learn from the clients you get and so forth. So there's lots of different ways you can handle that. Part 2 of your question. Here's another post you had. I'm sort of stuck with an issue. One of my dentist leads is a nice guy, little older, has yet to arrive in the digital age, wants to get more patients, but is slow in absorbing my ideas. I could let him go, but I would feel bad. In one of the ad agencies I worked, we had a principle to always employ one person which would otherwise would not be able to find a job. So be successful and let others participate. Such a thing seems to be the opposite to scale and stuff, but can anyone help? It sounds like really, if I'm reading between the lines here, the thing that you're kind of alluding to or pointing to is that your ideal client is somebody who really wants to grow, not somebody who's just trying to get by. And so how I take this personally is I see that as I just give fully into the relationship that you're in. You've entered into it. Give them your best. But in the future, you want to take all that feedback and use it as like part of your marketing message going forward to kind of attract the people who are as growth oriented as you. Because I'm like you, right? Like I don't want to just like improve the business 5%. Like I want to be the guy who shows up and they say, oh my God, we tripled our practice since you showed up. And it's a really nice feeling when that happens. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't let it take away from the relationship you've entered into. Give them your best and make sure to turn that into a good case study that you can use going forward. But you want to like tweak your messaging such that, you're pushing away intentionally people who aren't sharing the same like scaling values that you are. All right. Joe, I've been playing around with LinkedIn outreach for the past few months and had great success. I read that in a Borat voice. I'm interested to know your preferred method. Personally, I really struggled with email outreach. It felt spammy, but I know others make it work. Looking forward to hearing your methods. Joe, I mean, we have a different kind of approach to that in the Wolfpack here, and part of it is LinkedIn and outreach are, like, for me, short-term methodologies that we use just to validate an offer. And I'll tell you why this is so important, because a lot of times people in an agency, they think about creating an offer, and what they do is they ask, like, friends and family who are like a million miles away from being their target person. Like, say, for example, you're thinking about your Aurel in the last example, and you're thinking about selling to dentists, and that's your new market. And then you go ask your mom, and your mom's like not a dentist and has never even been to the dentist in the last 5 years and knows nothing about owning a dental practice. If you let your mom tell you what's a good idea or a bad idea, that's going to, like, pretty ruin it. So we're all about, like, ads and scaling, but what I suggest is use your cold outreach and your stuff as a way to dial in your offer and to just get conversations going, because the real value you're going to get out of that are the conversations where you start to understand what it is they're really looking for and what it is they really need. Without knowing your market, I can't really give you more specifics than that. But if you're feeling spammy with email, which I can definitely see happening. Part of it is your approach, but part of it is maybe you just shouldn't be doing email. You should do ways that feel more natural and comfortable to you. But what you're not trying to do is, in either case, you're not trying to, like, run LinkedIn forever, and you're not trying to run email forever. You're trying to get to the offer that you know is going to work, and when you got that, then you can have a million places to go to it. You can run ads with it. You can go to associations and say, I've got this thing. You can join groups and post it in groups. You can network with people. So, like, once you get your offer working, because offers work on people, and people are going to be all those places, you have a lot of different options for you. Gurk, I hope I'm reading that right, Gurk. Did you ever get bored of doing SEO and want to change? Only every day of my life that I did SEO. I definitely wanted to put a bullet for real. Like, SEO, a lot of your day is, like, spent writing the same article for, like, the 300th time. Like, for me, it was like plastic surgery. So, like, 8 advantages to breast augmentation and what you should look for in a surgeon and those kind of things. And then what I would do is then go post them on websites, and you would have to, like, register your password, and it's never complicated enough for them, right? Like, when you register on some random website, it needs a number and a capital letter and the Batman symbol and an upside down question mark from another language, and then you can sign up, and then it says, are you a robot? Click on all the bus stops, or click on all the trains, or click on all the boats. And so, yeah, I got really bored of that. And especially for me, there were a couple things that pushed me out of it. One was seeing, like, Google updates, how businesses that were 100% reliant on Google could be crushed overnight. And I realized building your entire business on SEO is a foundation of sand, in my opinion, anyway, because I've seen them get taken away. I've seen $1 million a month businesses go under in one Google update because they are 100% dependent on it. So if you're not having fun doing it, there's, like, a million other ways to help clients. So if you're feeling, like, bored of doing it and you want to change, you should probably reach out. At the very least, I can give you at least some alternatives that'll still help clients get results. Man, they're way easier. Like, I used to have to give you an example, to make a client's phone ring, I used to have to, like, I don't know, like, build 10,000 gajillion fucking backlinks and wait 6 months. And now we can do that with, like, 2 emails, right? So which one of those do you want to do? So it's really up to you. There's more than one way to be successful at this game. So pick the one that's going to be right for you. Bradford, I have a call Thursday with a realtor who is looking for more listing leads. Anyone have experience with the real estate niche? What kind of copy would I use? I assume local area targeting, age 25 up, and let it ride. How many guaranteed leads should I promise? 10, 15? I assume if I send him 10 leads, he should be able to get 2 to sign with him, and just 1 sale should net him a profit, since average houses by me are over 500K. In this market, probably average closer to 600 and up. Bradford, I'm going to tell you, your numbers are way the fuck off. Like, way the fuck off. Not as far as, like, the housing prices in your area. I'm sure you know that quite well. But without having worked in this market, thinking that if you're going to get them 10 leads from Facebook and they're going to close, way, way off. And I'll tell you, one of the things that, especially, like, what happens, okay, so, like, it depends on what you're selling, right? So, like, if you're selling a $3 baby toy trinket e-commerce deal, then 10 to 15 leads will probably net you 2 sales, because it's just a little $3 small impulse purchase that they don't have to think greatly about. But when you're talking about selling a $600,000 home, and somebody just saw a Facebook ad 5 minutes ago and thinking that 2 of those people are going to like convert to sales, way the fuck off. I can tell you, I do a little bit of stuff with land, and for every, you'll probably get 30 to 40 leads a day just with like organic stuff, and you're closing about 1 in 300. Now, where most real estate agents, I'm going to tell you, they struggle is in following up with those people and in what to do with the other 299 that didn't close. So if you want to actually like go into this market and be successful, and we've got somebody in our program who's really awesome, Brian Aguilar, who's doing this. And what Brian does is, at least what he's working on, is helping them with the follow-up. Now, I know that's like way more work than Facebook leads, but the beautiful thing is he's designing his follow-up in such a way that he can reuse it for the next realtor and the next real estate agent, because they're not just going to close from Facebook ads. What you'll find is real estate agents are far, far worse at selling than they really should be, and especially with a kind of relatively cold Facebook lead, you're just going to have a hard time converting them. But if you help build that system, you'll be able to sell 600,000 homes like they're going out of style. Let me just grab another one. Peter. Does anyone have suggestions for a great PPC client reporting dashboard? Peter, I've tried a lot of them over the years, and I don't know if this has been your experience, but this has been mine, is like you create this like cool looking dashboard that makes all these fancy reports, and you send it to a client, and then you realize how little clients actually understand about what we do. They go, what's this CTR percentage right here? What does this mean? What does that mean? And then you end up having to like educate them about the whole report. And then what ended up happening for me anyway is I'd spend like 10 to 15 minutes explaining to the client what the goddamn report meant, which defeated the purpose of having an automated report. So I'll tell you what we do in our agency now, and you don't have to copy us, but I find this to be a far superior way personally. So we just fire up Loom, make a little video, and we tell clients what we did, why we did, and how it's going, and what's coming next. And we do that every second Friday, and we just send a little 2, 3, 4, 5 minute update depending on how long it takes per client, and we just fire through all the clients one by one every second Friday. It's just put on the schedule. And I find that to be a far superior system, and clients love it because it's not like they're not like trying to figure out this report that to them looks like reading ancient hieroglyphs. Quite the opposite, is like it's really simple and straightforward. Amer, how do you get more e-commerce clients? Well, Amer, it's no different than how you get any other client. You come up with an offer that e-commerce clients would benefit from, and you go to where they go, which in this case, I can tell you there's a million Facebook groups full of e-commerce clients. And you put it in front of them, and you have some conversations, and you sign some of them up, and you learn and get feedback from the rest of them. So if you're struggling with that scenario, what you're probably most likely struggling with is like actually what value you bring. Because most people just say, hey, I'll run Facebook ads for you if you give me some money. That's not actually that valuable to somebody in the e-commerce space, especially if they're in a Facebook group already. They probably already run Facebook ads. So what they need from you is some way to like, improve that system, to add on to it, to bring some sort of unique value. So that's the part you got to figure out is the offer part of it. But e-commerce people are not hard to find. There's a million groups of them. They're talking all day long. You could be having a conversation with them in under 5 minutes. So the question is like, what are you going to bring that's going to get them? But how do you get more of them is you bring some value to them, no different than any other market. Let me just grab this. Sorry, a little slow clicking here. Adnan, digital marketing services. How much should you charge as a service fee? Now, Adnan, this is kind of like a deeper pricing philosophy, and we could probably talk for an hour about this. We've had some pretty deep conversations in our masterminds about this. But I'll tell you, everybody says like, charge more, charge less, whatever. The value you bring to the table is going to be proportional to how much you're going to get as a service fee. So I like to look at it as money as a discount. Like if you're bringing a client $20,000 a month, a client will not bat an eye to pay you $3,500 a month or $4,000 or something like that. So I like to keep it at least a minimum, like where they're going to get a 5-to-1 return on what it is you're doing, and ideally like 10-to-1. But if you do that, like your prices will go up. So instead of thinking about how much should you charge, what you should be thinking about is how can I bring more value to the client, and inevitably your fees will go up. But honestly, a lot of this just comes from learning and doing it. So for me, like when I first got into SEO, I charged $400 a month that sounded like a lot to me at the time in like 2007. I was like, people are paying me $400 a month. And then it wasn't until like almost 6 months to a year later, I had a plastic surgeon who asked me if I could call him on the phone. We got on the phone, and I remember thanking him for his time and just saying, hey, I know you're busy. And he said to me, are you kidding? You're more important than my practice manager. We've tripled our practice since you started doing this stuff. Everybody calls all day long and says, we found you on the Google. Well, you better believe, like, the next day my prices went up as a result of that, right? So, like, those are just things that you happen to learn from doing. But that was because I knew the results were going up. So, yeah. I know it's probably not a complete answer, but it's a true one anyway. Rohan, how to leverage video testimonials. I'll tell you 2 ways. Method number 1, put it everywhere and transcribe it, by the way. Like, put it in audio, put it in video, and just put it in a lot of places. Use it over and over. A lot of times we think, like, say you're part of a LinkedIn group and you post a video testimonial. We think you can't go and post that again, but you can actually probably post that once a month forever, right? Like, and people won't get bored of it because not everybody will see it at the same time. And even those who see it a second and a third time might listen a little more deeply the second or the third time. And the second thing, I'll tell you, the best thing you can do with testimonials is turn them into teaching examples, case studies, where you say, here's what we did, here's why we did it, and here were the results, and then here's the happy client to show you at the other end. But that's the best way you're going to use video testimonials. Nothing will sell people in an agency faster than case studies. So when you're beginning, like, what you want to get to as soon as possible are your case studies. So it sounds like you're sitting on a good one, Rohan. So I would use that. Steven, what would you do with a client who wants to run a test run with $300 a month? Niche is commercial loan, small business, factoring, hard money. His average commission on a loan is $2,000. Should I try ads to get applications directly or offer how to get a business loan ebook and build a list? Stephen, this is probably going to be not what you asked for, but I'm just going to tell you from experience. If a client's only willing to dabble in ads, like, hey, I'll try a little small amount. I actually remember at a lawyer, similar situation, like, I'll spend $200. He didn't tell me that, by the way, at the beginning. It just, his account locked up after $200, and then he wanted to have like 20 meetings about the $200 that he spent. I'm going to tell you really simple. You're not going to win with that client with ads. They're too afraid of, like, jumping into the pool. They're going to dip one toe in the water and go, oh shit, the water is really fucking cold. So what I would suggest is, if you actually want that client, is show them a way to bring business without Facebook ads first. So maybe you could be like running a referral campaign or running some marketing to their email list, or even just like a small retargeting of their existing audiences. But what you're not going to do is convince strangers on a $300 budget to sign up. So I just wouldn't start there. If you show them 1 or 2 wins, they will open up that budget. But it sounds like they've never run ads before and they're really scared about losing money. And you're just not going to win with $300 a month. It's just not enough of a test budget in almost any niche, and especially business, factoring, hard money, those kind of things. So, and even if you do a good job, like even if you hit it out of the park right away, they may suck at closing. So, just don't run ads for them. Do something else. Annabelle, what are your key tips to create high converting landing pages? Annabelle, I'll tell you, it's like you're probably gonna hear me beat this to death if you're in this group, which is, it is your offer. A landing page, by the way, is just an automated tool to connect with a human being, and human beings respond to offers. So what kind of value you're giving away on that page, because that's going to make the biggest difference. A lot of people test copy and headlines and all those things and color of the button, and I'm not saying those things don't make a difference, but I've had cold traffic pages convert 80-90% in audiences that shouldn't convert at 80-90%. It's just because we had a really good offer, and it switching if you have a really shitty offer, changing the button from green to blue isn't going to make that big of a difference. So figure out what the market needs and wants. Give it to them. Like, I don't know how else to say that, but that's the best thing you can do. Kavish, how can I find clients for sales, outsourcing, graphic designing, lead generation, and VA work? Okay, first of all, those are like 4 different offers, and if you try and sell them all at the same time, you're going to sell 0 of them. It's kind of like if you try and sell the whole menu, which is what a lot of businesses do. You see this like in, a lot of brick and mortar businesses, like Frankie's Construction Company. We do roofs, we do bathrooms, we do kitchens, we do decks, we do everything. We do it all, right? And that's a sort of we do it all offer. You're not going to have any success. So what I would suggest is pick one of those things, come up with a good offer, and get in front of people and do it. But like how you find clients is the same. You figure out like okay, so for example, you mentioned sales outsourcing. Like what value are you adding? How are you making somebody's life easier than something else they could get elsewhere? Graphic designing, same thing. Lead generation, same thing. VA work, right? So that's it. Like go to the places where those people go, make them some offers, get in some conversations, and tweak your offer and get it working. David, what are you using for client support or communication? I'm currently in the process of building out the team, automation of systems, SOPs, and I'm now planning to improve client support. Currently, I'm communicating all over the place with them on Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, email, phone, and it's just not practical anymore, so looking for one platform to communicate with them. Maybe I'm overthinking it and should just create a support email. You probably are overthinking it, to be quite honest with you, David. But this happens, like it sounds like you're in a situation where you're probably stage 2, approaching stage 3 in your agency. You've got a team, you got a bunch of clients, shit's all over the place. By the way, that's normal. It's, when it starts out as just little you, then you find out your systems aren't sustainable as you get bigger, which is what you're finding. And honestly, it doesn't really matter as long as you pick one. So if you tell your clients, hey, we communicate over Facebook Messenger, they'll do it. If you tell them how we work is we communicate over WhatsApp, a lot of that is actually how you set the expectations in the beginning. What I would suggest is you're probably on some like a Trello or an Asana or a Basecamp or some kind of like platform where you guys have like your whatchamacallit, project management all in one place. I would find the one that is just the easiest for you and your team to work with right there in one place. You can also use Zendesk as well. That's good for like a support email. Then you actually get tickets and you can see what you're doing. But it honestly doesn't matter which one you pick. But the key is thinking that you got to talk to your clients all these places. If you just say on day one, hey, we use Zendesk for all our communication, and the reason why we do this is because it creates a ticket that the whole team can see, and that way I can make sure to like have the whole staff address your specific issue. So we ask that whenever you communicate with us, I know it's a little bit of a pain in the ass, but it'll make it better for the implementation side if we all just communicate through these support tickets. So here's the page, go and create them there. Clients will do it. The biggest reason they're all over the place is because you're just not setting that boundary at the beginning. And it's normal because when it's just you and you got 5 clients, you just communicate with them however you feel like. But as you grow, obviously you found out that's not sustainable because one client's here in your WhatsApp, another one's over there on your Messenger on your computer, another one's in your email, and as you mentioned, it's balls will get dropped as you get bigger. So you just want to like pick a box, give them the box. Whatever one works for you, by the way, they'll join. A lot of people use Slack as well. I'm not a Slack user personally, but they seem to dig it. Go High Level's another one, but again, just pick one. Doesn't matter which one. Abel, we got a lot of questions today. Damn. Started my agency a few months ago, and clients seem to cancel after about 3 months because the Facebook leads are bad. At this point, we did everything right in getting a good cost per result, targeting, ad copy is niche and hyper-focused. How would you go about this? Okay, Abel, this is like a deeper thing, by the way. We got an offer right now, just throwing that out there, to help you with the leads are bad. I'll tell you, there's a couple of different things you can do. One is to dramatically narrow and shrink your audience. And so what I mean by that is I experienced this with lawyers. I ran a lot of Facebook ads. Probably 80% of them were shit. But I remember like I had a client, his name's Greg, in Corpus Christi, Texas. And while we're running the same ads over here, 4 lawyers are saying, oh, your leads are bad and they're no good. And then the exact same campaigns in Texas, the guy's like, hey, we're closing like 3 cases a week. Keep sending your Facebook leads. And when I dug a little deeper, I found out that Greg, he had a whole support team dedicated towards inquiries. So they could call you back from Facebook in like a minute or 2. They were real fast. They were trained on sales. They would call you back 5 and 6 times. Like they just knew how to work leads. So one way you can deal with it is just only deal with peeps who know how to work leads, which will make your audience size smaller, but it'll make your headaches also a lot smaller. And like I've said in the agency game, you're never going to have more than like a couple hundred clients even if you're huge, right? So more than likely you'll probably never have like 20 or 30 at once. So you don't necessarily need everybody. So you can that's one way you can deal with it. Another way to deal with it, and this is counterintuitive because we like to put ourselves in the box that says, I am the guy, I'm able, I do the Facebook ads. To not do Facebook ads, right? Because they require them to have a lot of things that they don't have. And my favorite way of dealing with this, and if you're interested, I'll send you some details, a Google Doc about this offer, but what we have are a couple of campaigns that I call the buddy system, and it helps them generate referrals. And referrals are far more forgiving because if somebody they like, know, and trust has said, go use Abel's company, they tend to close a lot higher. And even like local businesses that are real shit at closing leads can usually close referrals because referrals are almost like leads closed in their lap because they're far, far warmer than a Facebook ad lead. Because like I said, somebody like, if you ask somebody you trust, who's the best Facebook ads person for this? And they said, Frankie Fihn, you would probably come to me pre-sold. And that's how they get their thing. So if you're interested in the buddy system, reach out on that. I got some details for you. And then I'll tell you the last thing that you can do, and this is a little bit counterintuitive, is stop putting yourself in the box that says I'm able and I do Facebook ads, and expand your box to think of like, okay, the problem is they get these leads and they don't know how to work them. So what you want to do is put in automated follow-up systems and tools to help them convert those leads and turn them into a list and turn them into an audience and warm them up. And what you'll find is that it will take you far more work for one client. But if you're smart about it, which most people aren't, you can then reuse that exact same system for your next client. And so design the first one in a way that you can use it for the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth. And then what'll happen is you show up as not as the Facebook ads guy, I'm going to get you some leads. Because all that does is when you generate leads for people, it just shows you real quick how shit they are at closing leads. But what you can do is bring a more comprehensive system to the table, and it takes you out of the box of, hey, we do Facebook ads. It's like it's a tool in your tool belt, but you're like, hey, we're the only one who has a complete system for this. And I believe you said you were working with financial planners. I think I saw that. I could be wrong. But like if you have a complete system to help them get the leads, work the lead, and then turn those into actual sales, then they're going to love you, and you're going to have a hard time dealing with them all. But if you just send them like generic leads, like we have a tendency to think what businesses want are leads because they tell us they want leads, but then you send them leads and realize why they haven't been successful with leads in the past. So those are the three things. Thing number one, just only work with the people who can close them, which will shrink your audience, but that's okay. Reach out to us. We can give you some details on the buddy system, or build a more comprehensive system and think about how you can reuse that. I would suggest, by the way, all three of those are good ideas. So if you do all three of them at the same time, you're going to have even better luck. So anyway, that's all we got for questions for this week. And if you guys aren't already following on the old YouTube, get on that shit and hang out with us. You can join the world's greatest 30-something subscribers. So anyway, see you guys next week.